go-to karaoke song? Probably, man, probably Rappers Delight.
Rappers Delight? Old school.
Throwback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a lot of older brothers who used to play a lot of old stuff around me, so I feel like I have an old soul from that.
Okay. All right. Rappers Delight. Okay. That's good. That's good. That's good. So also, many of you don't know this, but I had the opportunity to meet Myron, and I was trying to remember when it was in 2012. Was it like 2012?
That's right, 2012.
2012, and I have to tell you this quick story. I was working for a health insurance company in Philadelphia, and our CEO, great guy at the time at the organization, his name is Michael Rashid, and you would have to know him. Myron knows him, that's why he's shaking his head, but you have to know him. Man a few words, and literally, if you got called to his office, it wasn't good, right? So, I'm like a mid-level leader, and my phone rings, and on caller ID is like the president's office. And my boss was sitting next to me at the time, and I answered, and they were like, he wants to see you. So I walked out of my office, I walked to my boss's office, and I was like, do you know what this is about? And she's like, you let me know when you get back. No, I have no idea what this is about. So I'm on my way up. It's only 3 levels up, but it felt like it was like 60 or 70 stories up. And I walk in, and this person is sitting there. And do you remember what happened next?
I don't.
You don't? Okay. So Myron was sitting there, and the president at the time, he was like, I know you're doing some work with administrative fellows. You've done some in your prior role. I want to talk to you. This is Myron Roll. I want you to talk to him and, bring him on your team and train him to do what administrative fellows do. And I just looked like I have one more thing to do. That's what I was saying. I didn't know who this person was. I was like, I have one more thing to do. And then, as they say, the rest is history, right? Right? You started with us immediately afterwards, and you were preparing for your MCAT. And but what happened? What was your life up to that point?
Yeah, well, thanks, Kelly. It's wonderful being with you again. That was an interesting time in my life because as you saw in the video, I'm a football player. I played football for my entire life since I was 6 years old, and I was just finished playing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I got drafted by the Tennessee Titans in 2010 in the 6th round. Played there for 2 years in Nashville, and then played 1 year with the Steelers. And so with football being a large part of my life, it was like, now there's a gap, now there's a space that needs to be filled. And I knew I wanted to do medical school, but I wanted to have sort of a life experience, learn about the business side of medicine. That's why that managed care company was a perfect fit, being an administrative fellow and kind of understanding what the corporate world's like. Because I've been in locker rooms my entire life, but now I got to deal with like real people, not just like fellow athletes. And so, had a chance to work with you and do a couple projects with you, met your kids, and, grew close to your sons who are scholar and athletes in their own right. So it was a great time. It was a wonderful time.
Yeah, it was great. And he's very humble and modest. Prior to that, so I'll finish the story and it will complete what I'm going to say. So I get home that evening, my oldest son, he calls me and I'll tell him this story. I said, look at this guy today. I've got another project at work. His name was Myron Roll. And my son just, he's like, Mom, wait, like you met Myron Roll? He's like an All-American, then I Googled it, it's like pages of all this stuff about Myron Roll. And so I get back to work, a bit humbled the next day, and I'm telling him, like, you didn't tell me, why didn't you tell me who you were? So, but prior to that, you went to Florida State, played in high
school football player in America, and 82 scholarship offers from,
woo! 83 scholarship offers.
Yeah. And so then we decided to go to Florida State University. Their football coach was named Bobby Bowden. He was an old man. He was sort of seasoned, and he wasn't going to leave and go to the NFL or another team. I felt comfortable with him being there. He was also a Christian, which was great. And I liked the Tallahassee environment there. Played 3 years there at FSU. Was an All-American, as Kelly said. All-ACC, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Graduated in 2.5 years with my undergrad degree. That was a blessing, sure. And then I ended up winning something called the Cecil J. Rhodes Scholarship, which is probably the academic Super Bowl for people who aren't jocks typically. The last jock to win it was Pat Hayden. He was a quarterback at USC. Cory Booker, senator from New Jersey, won one. Bill Bradley, senator as well. So not a lot of jocks win those. And so I won that Rhodes Scholarship, had a chance to go over to England, get my master's degree in medical anthropology, spent a year and a half over there. Then came back to the United States and got drafted in the 6th round by the Titans, and that's when the football career kind of took off. Once football was done, worked with Kelly for a couple months, and then went to medical school back to Florida State to pursue my real dream, which was being a neurosurgeon, and did my residency at Harvard, 7 years up in Boston.
Amazing.
Great, it was great.
Amazing. And I'll say this, throughout the time that I've known him, faith has been his cornerstone. His family and his faith both have been his cornerstone, and we're going to dig into that. So that's the backstory. So that's how we got here today. That's the backstory.
You know, I love football. I played it since I was 6 years old. I started playing tackle football first, not flag. Like, I was going out hitting people. I like hitting people. It was a lot of fun. Sometimes when you hit someone and, like, the breath leaves their body, like, you know you got them. Like, oh, yeah, I got you. It was fun. And then, look, again, I'm not going to pull any positions. I was very good at football early on and throughout my career. I was bigger, stronger, faster. I dominated my competition. And that got me notoriety, but essentially I just had a lot of fun doing it. My daddy started the Caribbean American Football League back home in the Bahamas, so he taught me some of the fundamentals of the game. My older brothers would take me to the local park, and I was learning how to backpedal and catch the football and do these fundamentals more than my other teammates were doing. And so not only was I more athletic than a lot of the guys I was playing against, but I also had the technique and the fundamentals down. And so I just carried that on and allowed it to steamroll into a career that eventually led me to the National Football League. Every young man who plays football wants to get to the NFL. And I was fortunate to hear my name called in the 6th round, pick number 207, 615 area code. Jeff Fisher from the Titans called me, and he asked me, are you happy to be a Titan? And I said, I waited long enough, Coach. I'm ready. I'm happy. And it was awesome.
That's good. Yeah.
You know, and then when I stopped playing, everyone has to stop playing, right? There's an expiration date on everyone's football career. For me, it was 3 years. For Tom Brady, it's 20 years, right? I mean, it's just a different time. But at some point, a team is going to say, we're good on you. We no longer need your services. And that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers told me. They said, we're good. We're fine. You're going to go on to be a neurosurgeon one day. You're going to go on to be president one day. You don't need football. You're good to go. And I was a little bit hurt by that because I committed to football my entire life, and now it's being cut off. And so everything that I'd done, your son probably knows this too, having been a football player when he was younger, everything that I did, from my friend group to how I ate, to my sleep hygiene, to the clothes I wore, to my daily routine, it all centered around football. It all centered around being an athlete. And then one day, it's done. You don't wake up having to go to practice anymore. You don't wake up watching film anymore. All of it's done. And I was like, man, this is hurtful. And I was hurt, even though I was pre-med, graduating 2.5 years, a Rhodes Scholar, and wanted to be a neurosurgeon. I had a plan 1B. A lot of my teammates didn't have another plan, essentially. And so it took a lot of courage and strength to come out of those moments of feeling like I let myself down, I let my teammates down, I let my parents down, my brothers, my friends, who all looked to me to be, their hero. I always knew I wanted to be a neurosurgeon because I read Gifted Hands by Ben Carson. You remember I telling you about that? That book inspired me to be a brain surgeon. He was a black man, first pediatric neurosurgeon to separate two craniopagus twins. That means they're connected at the occipital lobe, and both of those kids live. It was a monumental and historic type of surgery. And I saw his story and drew inspiration in that. I said, so when football was done, neurosurgery is going to be the next calling. But in that moment, that gap between football and neurosurgery, I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, you're more than enough, Myron. It's okay to feel pain, it's okay to feel depressed and feel a little hurt in this moment, because you care about football. But there's got to be a time where you pick yourself up, talk life into yourself, and say, I can do this. There's another chapter. Something else coming.
Yeah, that's good.
And that was helpful for me. And another thing that was helpful, I guess the last part of this, was not only me having those words of affirmation over myself, like it says in Isaiah 55:11, right? You got to speak those words and they shall come forth, right? Like I had to speak it to myself, but I had my family speaking to me too. And I had friends speaking to me too. We don't live this journey in a silo. I need to have people speak life into me, right? The power of the tongue is important. And that really boosted me and got me thinking that I can be something again and take that MCAT and go to med school, and then the rest of the journey, here I am as a pediatric neurosurgeon. So, yeah.
Amazing. What an amazing story. And what I hear today, what I've known about you ever since I've known you, is that your family and your community helped shape who you are. And just what really makes me kind of stand in awe around your journey is it happened so young, and he was able to go from level to level, from faith to faith so early. And so I'm sure you have this type of resilience about you now that I'm sure translates over into surgery probably, and the work, the long hours. Talk a little bit about resilience, and then talk about a day in the life of a pediatric neurosurgeon right now.
Well, I just had a surgery this morning and it went well, so shout out to that.
Wow, so apologies for sending you all the text messages wondering when you were going to show up. He was in surgery, but okay.
Well, thankfully. The kid was 3 months old and everything went well, but thank you. Resiliency is a real thing. It's a real critical part of our journey as leaders. You know, everyone in the room, I think, has a leader in them, and I think it's important for us to know that we will take setbacks and we will take losses, and we all fall short of the glory of God. We know what that feels like. Even if you've done everything right, some things can be out of your control externally that just don't go the way you wanted to. And I think finding that strength to be resilient and then also being self-aware in that moment is so important. And so I'll give you an example that speaks to neurosurgery and a time where I think I really had to show some resilience and some toughness. Bear with me because this is a case that I'll never forget, frankly. I was a neurosurgical resident at Harvard up in Boston, and there was a woman who was walking late at night. She was homeless with her kids. She was pushing a kid on a stroller, a 5-month-old, and she was walking with her other child next to them. One of the nurses, not from our hospital, but a neighboring hospital, a nurse was working a long 24-hour shift and got really tired at the wheel, fell asleep and veered and hit this family. The mom made it, she was fine. The daughter who was walking, she was pronounced dead at the scene. The 5-month-old who was in a stroller, she was airlifted to our hospital, Massachusetts General Hospital. And I'm the only neurosurgeon in the house at the time. And so I go and I'm communicating with our nursing team, the anesthesia. I'm asking them to give the right medications to kind of decrease the brain bulk and allow some of the swelling to come down. She had a lot of cerebral edema, which was swelling in the brain tissue. She had blood in her brain as well. Her pupils were fixed and dilated. It just looks like a very tough situation. I brought all the equipment I needed to. Technically, I performed the surgery the right way, but she didn't make it. And I felt I did everything I could, and I was very distraught by that outcome. And I remember calling Daddy, and I called my father, and I said, Daddy, I feel so bad. I started crying to him on the phone. And I'm thankful to have a father and a mother who will allow me to be vulnerable. Like, here I am, a 6'2", 220-pound black man, grown man, and here crying on the phone to them. They didn't care. I was their baby again, right? Like, you can cry to me on the phone. And Daddy said to me that morning, he said, Myron, it's okay, let it out. Like, you're in the right career, because you care. You have compassion, and you have empathy for that child.
Yes.
And so that was reassuring. But also what was reassuring in that moment was that I talked to one of my pastors. His name is Bishop Joseph Walker. He's from Nashville, Tennessee, Mount Zion Baptist Church. When I played for the Titans, I would go to Bishop Walker's church. And I called him up too, and I said, I'm feeling kind of down about this. Can you talk to me through what's going on? And he said, Myron, there comes a limit to our human abilities, right? Like, we have a cap of what we can do. Did you do everything you could to help that child? I said, yes, sir, I definitely did. I can say it with 100% assuredness. I gave everything I could to that moment. He said, okay. Well, then after you've done all you could, you have to leave it to God, right? You have to leave it to a power that's beyond you. Because the plan that he has is something that we don't know. And it is out of your control at that point. But you do what you can. You've maximized and optimized that operating room. You've maximized your communication and your technical expertise during that case. Then you have to leave it, right? And you have to know that you are limited in what you can do as a man, as a human. You're not God, you're not, some other extraterrestrial being, you're not something different than what you are. He's giving you the tools and the instruments to do this work, and it comes to limit to your ability. And I was like, you know what? That made me feel a little bit better. I still felt stung by that loss, but I did feel like I gave everything I could and was comforted. But I feel like the resiliency in that moment, Kelly, came when I had to do the next operation. Because, you feel like, oh man, I'm still thinking about this last one I lost, but the family that expects me to take out this brain tumor because this child is having a seizure is not saying, oh, I want half a doctor role, I want half of my role in here. I want you to be less of yourself and not ready and prepared to save my child's life. Like, you need to be filled up and ready to go to save my kid. Wow. And so I take that very seriously. And so I have mechanisms and ways to rebound and recenter after those losses. I pray. I talk to my wife, Latoya. She is my accountability buddy. She's my best friend. I go on runs. Exercising is helpful for me. I listen to some music to kind of get my mind decompressed. And then I can walk back into the next patient's room and feel lifted up and ready to go and ready to take on the challenge of helping to save that kid's life. And so that strength is one, but the situational and self-awareness of knowing that I've been placed in this purpose to do this work with this great team, and I can't allow the woe is me to linger too long because my purpose is to save lives, and I can't stay in the muck and the mire for too long.
That's good.
That's where resiliency really pops through for me.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I can only imagine. And I mean, you're talking about a day in the life of, and you also mentioned your beautiful wife. Had a chance to meet her, and it just goes back to your faith. It goes back to your family, and talk a little bit now about your family. Your family. Talk about your wife. She's here. She's so beautiful. And talk about your children. You have to hear about this. Tell the story.
Yeah, definitely. My wife is phenomenal. Her name's Latoya. She's over there, gorgeous. She's a pediatric dentist here in Orlando. We live here in Orlando, so it wasn't a far trek for us to come. But she is the mother of our 4 kids, 2 sets of twins, ages 4 and 2. So,
yes, ages 4 and 2, 2 sets of twins. Did you get that? Right.
Boy, girl.
Right, and a pediatric dentist and a pediatric neurosurgeon. Yeah. Wow.
But you see, we have grandparents over there help out a lot.
And,
I'm going to say something to y'all because we're all friends and family here, right? My daddy used to be very strict on me when I was younger. Strict on me and my brothers, wouldn't let us do certain things. And now, as a granddaddy, when he comes, he lets my kids do whatever they want. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Daddy, Latoya and I are trying to put them on this line, and then they go over to his house, and they're just doing whatever they want. They're like, Granddaddy lets us do this. What happened to the strict man that raised me? But that's a blessing having him, my mummy, and my mother-in-law who lives with us. They're all phenomenal. And Latoya, she's a HBCU grad, went to Tennessee State University, and she's amazing woman.
That's awesome. That is incredible. I love it. I love it. I love the family. I love the Black family. I love Black love. And you guys are just really showing a young generation how to do it. And so congratulations to you both. They're beautiful families. See the pictures up there? Oh my goodness, they're so cute. They're so cute. So let's talk, and we have a couple more questions for you, because I know we're getting close to the end, but talk about your commitment in all of this. You still find time to give back. So you have a foundation, the Myron L. Roll Foundation, which really reflects your personal journey. When I met you years ago, you were doing it. So you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, definitely. I think the foundation comes journey. I started the foundation in 2009 to try to create a medium and a vehicle to inject change into the world, especially in young kids and vulnerable populations, vulnerable families. One thing that we started with was foster kids. We saw that foster kids in the state of Florida were ostracized. They were moving from group home to group home in hefty bags and not feeling like they were a part of the youth movement of the state of Florida. And so we went and advocated on their behalf in Tallahassee and the state governments. We got $100,000 appropriated by the state legislature to run an academy for these foster kids. Took 100 foster kids from all over the state of Florida, brought them to Jacksonville, and taught them about conflict resolution and leadership and proper nutrition and relationship building, mental health coaching. I even brought some of my NFL buddies and friends to come and talk life into them as well. And now these foster kids who have graduated from our academy have gone on to be lawyers and politicians and educators, firefighters. They are exceptional people. And now, as a pediatric neurosurgeon, I'm seeing advocacy and community work even bleed through from the operating room and extend into the communities that we offer, right? So I've unfortunately had to take care of a lot of kids who accidentally get their hands on firearms that are not safely stored away in their homes, their parents' homes, or their friends' homes, and they'll accidentally shoot themselves in the head or in the back, somewhere where I would need to operate. And I was saying to myself, Florida doesn't have a lot of gun violence prevention laws, especially child access laws. So what can we do to make it safer for our children to be in their homes and not get access to a firearm and accidentally cause some self-inflicting wound that could be potentially fatal and lethal? So we're doing work with that. The natural connection between myself and football. We're doing work with head trauma and traumatic brain injury safety. Mental health is something that's very important. We're seeing mental health issues not only in high school kids, but even as young as middle school and elementary school, kids having suicidal ideations and needing some support. So we're doing some work in that respect. We're also doing food security. That's something big. We talked about that before. I know you do a lot of work with that here in your foundation, and how important it is to Bishop Jakes that having proper nutrition develops good brain health so that you can think through things, you can be a student in school and have the energy and activity to want to learn and to stay alive and stay awake to learn. Also for women of childbearing ages, they can have food that's fortified by folic acid so they don't have birth defects and end up with kids who are on our operating room table. And so these are all things that I've seen as a physician that now my foundation that has this umbrella of helping children in need has been able to step in that void and try to affect change in.
I love it. I love it. Let's give him a hand. And so I know that his family and his schedule is so busy, but he still takes time to give back. And that is another sign of a champion. And so for that, we say thank you. Now, my last question for you is around your book. So you wrote a book a couple years ago. It is called The 2% Way. And tell us a little bit about this. I've heard you talk about it. And before we get started, for a donation at our booth of $50 or more, you get a signed copy and you get a picture with him. So just know that that's going to be available after this. But tell us a little bit about the book.
Yeah, thank you. So the book is something that means a lot to me and a lot to my family. The 2% Way, I'll explain what that means and where that came from. But I want to talk to you about the genesis of how we got to writing the book in the first place. I was a resident up at Mass General Hospital in Boston, and I'd come back from one of my long calls, and we were distant, by the way. That's why also LaToya is so great. My wife and I were doing distance. She was here in Orlando, and I'm up in Boston doing residency. So I had to fly from Logan down here to Orlando once a month or so to spend time with my wife and my kids. And it was hard because even my youngest daughter, she would look at me like a stranger. And I'm like, I'm not a stranger, I'm your daddy. But it was difficult to try to get over that barrier. So this one night, I'm coming off of a long shift, and I'm sitting down, I'm tired, and LaToya says, Myron, you read a lot of books when you were growing up. You read about Paul Robeson and Ben Carson and Kofi Annan and Nelson Mandela and Malcolm X. You read about these men, and they've inspired you to do great work in this world. And people have come up to you and come up to us and told you how much you've inspired them in your story. You should write it down. And I said, LaToya, nobody wants to hear from a third-year resident up in Boston. It's cold, it's dark. Don't got a lot of black people around me in Boston. I'm like, what's going on? I said, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if this is the right time. But she believed in me more than I believed in myself, and that was what I needed. You can clap that up. You can clap that up.
Yes, yes.
He said, write this book, boy. Write this book. I said, yes, ma'am. Yes, dear. so I started to write the book, which is essentially my story arc, coming from the Bahamas, starting with our family name of Roll, which is a slave name coming from Lord John Roll from Great Britain. He had slaves in Exuma, Bahamas, where we're from, and all the slaves took that last name of Roll. It's the largest and most popular surname in the Bahamas now. But now if you think about that name being a slave name, we kind of flipped that around and made it a name of class and integrity, so we're proud of that for sure. But starting from that journey of the Bahamas and all the way now to neurosurgery, and then intertwined in that is this ethos of the 2% way. So what is the 2% way? The 2% way is something that my football coach, Mickey Andrews at Florida State, taught me and my teammates. He wanted us to get just a little bit better, 2% better every practice. He wanted us to improve our backpedaling and improve our ability to catch the ball, improve our ability to tackle, because he knew that Clemson was doing it, he knew that Florida was doing it, USC, Georgia, Notre Dame, these other schools were doing it, and he wanted us to improve just a little bit. He didn't feel like we had to win the day tomorrow. We had to get 100% better because that's impractical. And so he would go to the whiteboard after practice in the locker room and say, Roll got 1% better today. Roll got 2% better today. And I'm looking at myself, I'm like, all right, thanks coach, appreciate it. But it was a way to hold me and my teammates accountable. And I extrapolated that ideology to life, and so that any chance encounter I have, any experience I have, any book I read, I'm trying to grab 2% from that moment and add it to my journey, my trajectory, go from here to here. And I like those small wins every day, because also, from a neuroscientific standpoint, it does do something to your body and to your mind when you feel accomplished, when you have done something on the day. You have something called your limbic lobe, which releases some hormones that give you this sort of euphoric feeling of reward, of satisfaction, of feeling like you've accomplished something. It makes you actually feel good when you've taken a step closer towards who you want to be. And so professionally, personally, I use the 2% methodology to be a better physician, to be a better pediatric neurosurgeon, to be a better father, a better husband, a better community leader, be a better Christian. It's all work, small steps. You don't have to win the day tomorrow, and you don't have to listen to what's going on Instagram and Twitter. People in your generation acting like they got it all tomorrow. No, they don't. They're lying to you. They don't have it all tomorrow. They don't have it all today. They don't have it all together. Run your race, stay in your lane, get a little bit better every day, and in 6 months to a year, you'll see the growth for sure.
I love that.
That's powerful.
And our chairman this morning was talking about taking that leap, and it's just that step, like taking that next step. And so I love the 2%. I love the book, and just well done, well done, well done. So I have, as we wrap up this part of it, didn't you guys enjoy Dr. Roll? It's amazing. It's amazing. Thank you, Myron. Thank you. So Dr. Myron Roll is not just a celebrated neurosurgeon, but as you can hear, a powerful advocate for change and progress in communities both locally and globally. He exemplifies the essence of all of this through his unparalleled commitment to service, innovation, and leadership. Whether through his groundbreaking work in neurosurgery or his advocacy for mental health, education, health equity, Dr. Roll has made an indelible impact on the lives of countless individuals, and he's not even 40, and that's just amazing. Yes, let's give him a hand. So from his days as a Rhodes Scholar, to his contributions on the field as a former NFL player, to his ongoing mission to improve healthcare in the Caribbean through the Caribbean Neurosurgery Foundation and his own foundation, Dr. Roll continues to prove that greatness is born of relentless dedication and the pursuit of meaningful, lasting change. So, today, Dr. Roll, we will honor you as our champion for change. A man who's been in everything we do. This recognition is, you will be the second one to receive this. It was carved and created after our own Bishop T.D. Jakes, and he was the first to receive this award last year on his birthday. And so it is my privilege to present to you the Champion of Change Envision Tower, symbolizing not only your extraordinary achievements, but also the bright future you continue to build for others. So you all, I get it from behind my pillow, so give me a second so you can see it. Please join me in celebrating Dr. Myron Roll. He is our champion for change, so give him a hand. You're so welcome, well deserved. And I know I'm going to put my chairman on the spot, but can you come up, chairman? Yes. This is called changing of the guard, right? when you see it going from one generation to another generation, and just so excited about it. And yeah, so thank you. It does. It does. It does. The OG, the original recipient of the Champion for Change.
You took it to another level.
Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely, absolutely. I just wanted you to just spend a minute with them, and then I know we're so off script, but that's what you do. You taught me well.
Yeah,
You taught me well.
I don't know what to ask him that you didn't already ask him. I ponder with great amazement the road before you, because the road behind you has been so extraordinary. It has to be preparatory for the road in front of you. With all the skills, experiences, opportunities, inner strength, fortitude, and family that brought you to this moment. I can't wait to see what the next 30, 40 years are going to do with your life. Am I right about it? And if we may be so bodacious as to suggest that we are proud of you, and we are proud of you because there are so few of you. And you paid the price to put yourself out there so that we can point to our children and grandchildren and say, yes, it's possible to get this done. The Bahamas is proud, America is proud, Florida is proud, and I am proud. Thank you so much. I do think it's wrong that Kelly got to get a, Dr. Rowe, I do think it's wrong that Kelly got to get a picture with you since we're off script. And
I'm gonna step to the side. I'm gonna let you take it.
I want to go picture with you.
Love it. Oh, then I get to get in? Can I come back now?
Come back.
Okay. I keep you in the middle though. Okay.
Y'all should post that everywhere.
Thank you. Thank you all. So everyone, we are at a defining moment in history. I'm just going to give you just a couple of nuggets here, and then a video will play, and I'll let Chairman take it from here. But our communities across the nation face the risk of being sidelined, just stigmatized and silenced. And we at the TD Jakes Foundation, we work really hard to try to be the voice for those who don't have one. And so at the TD Jakes Foundation, we believe in rising together, united by a vision where every community in the world thrives, not in just a city, not in just a state, not in a country, but every community in the world. And Chairman TD Jakes and Mrs. Sarita Jakes, they have set the stage for us to conquer the world. And we're going after it. So with that, I want to show you just a quick video about the TD Jakes Foundation, and then we're going to close out the segment with our chairman, Bishop TD Jakes. We'll go to video.
I am here because somebody spent time with me. I am where I am because somebody invested in me. If we don't get everybody, and we get somebody, that somebody will get somebody, and somebody will get somebody, and that's how we made it throughout history. We started helping each other. We the people is all the people. And we are all the people that we have. Wow. Give the foundation a big round of applause. The video was not long enough to express all the things that the foundation has done in terms of providing jobs for people, not just in Dallas, but in Atlanta and Augusta and different places around the country, in terms of feeding people and making sure that they had a week's worth of groceries at a time that the world was in crisis and in trouble, serving people during COVID, first responders, when the restaurants all shut down, didn't have anything to eat, the foundation was there. STEAM programs, STEM programs, so we can have more Dr. Rose. Making sure that our children are exposed early to the things that really matter most in life. We gave $1 million worth of scholarships for HBCU students to go to Milken Institute so that they could be exposed to financial advancement and come back and bring it back home to our families. We've supported several HBCU schools in Atlanta, in Texas, and other places, making sure that the students had a fighting chance at better. Because I kept saying to myself, when I look at the way the world was going and so many programs were dying and so many jobs were failing, I kept thinking somebody ought to do something. And one day I was walking through the house fussing to myself, which is a sign of being crazy. And I was fussing to myself and said, somebody ought to do something. And a voice went back and said, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? I think the numbers are so intimidating that even our most revered people stagger in fear at trying to meet the needs that are so massive and comprehensive. But if you just get it started, somebody else will help. And amen. And so we've done a lot. We've got a lot more to do. We're building homes. We're building people when we build homes. We are out to build homes because I feel like we've lost the sense of community and connectivity. And with all the features that AI and technology has given us, there's nothing like a smile or a hug or a closeness or the things that we used to share that gave us a sense of dignity and pride. And it almost seems like we have been through so much pain that we've gone in the house and shut the door and we don't come out for nothing. And that isolation is not mentally healthy. I think it's a hangover from COVID. How many of you find yourself having to force yourself out sometimes? Just force yourself out. Yeah, there are many of us that are in that situation. And so we want to do something for mental health. The people you saw in the green robes on the screen are all people who have been indicted for a crime, served their sentence. We help them to get GEDs, to get jobs, to get back up on their feet. We help them to find places to stay because a lot of times people won't give them a place to stay. We've had many of their records. Judge Johnson, would you stand up? She helped lead the charge in getting their records expunged and giving them a second chance so they would have a right for a job. There are a lot of people that have done a lot of things to help us. Thank you for all your great work and the team that you had around you to give us a fighting chance at a second chance. And I'm going to ask you to do the same thing today, to give us a fighting chance at a second chance. Not me, I'm okay right now. Let's say arrest me when I go outside. I think I'm okay right now. The problem is, I was given this platform to do something, and I'm determined to do it all the way. But I can't do it without you. Amen. Amen. So whether it's a $50 donation for a book, or whether you're able to give $100 to help the foundation. The QR codes are different from the other QR codes because they go directly to the foundation for legal reasons and for different functions. And we have the foundation so that whoever ends up with the church, they might want to start something for Save the Whales. I'm still trying to save families who have been in incarceration. I'm still working on that. And so the foundation allows the things that I thought were important to continue to live. And I'm going to ask you to take a look at the QR codes or text on the screen and to sow a seed into this moment and to take this opportunity to make a real difference. And if you give the 50, I think the book comes along with it. I don't know how that happens, if it's magic or do they take their phone to the bag. But I'm selling books. See, I started out at church. We were selling hot dogs and chicken, and I'm not afraid to ask for what I want.
Well, the money is for the foundation.
Especially when it's for somebody else. I have never spent a day, well, that's not true. I spent 3 days in San Quentin preaching, but I have never spent a day in jail myself. But when I left San Quentin, I was so moved by the people that I almost hated this house, stupid, but I almost hated to leave them in their situation with so little hope. And I thought, whatever I can do to help them, I'm going to do it. And we have had over 40,000 people to go through our Texas Offenders Reentry Initiative. I think that ought to get a bigger response than that. Yeah, that's a big deal. That's somebody's brother, that's somebody's uncle, that's somebody's father. These are people, primarily, I think it's 70% nonviolent crimes. We've spent 20 and 30 years in there. A lot of women, that's what shocked me. I was shocked at how many women are living their life in jail. So if you help us right quick, I'm not gonna stay up here long, but I believe in what we're doing. I'm proud of what we're doing. I'm proud of what we have done for almost 50 years. We have been on the wall, helping the communities and all communities. Because poverty is not just a black problem, it's a white problem and a brown problem. I grew up in West Virginia, and there are poor white people. Trust me. There are poor brown people. There are poor young people. Just because they're young and beautiful doesn't mean that they got any money. That's why they're sleeping on the couch at their mama's house. There are poor elderly people. That's the worst time, when your strength is weakest, to find yourself impoverished. Everyone that's going to sow, would you stand for a moment and thank you on behalf of all the people that you won't even get to see. Of all the people, the hurricanes, the crisis, the situations, thank you for doing what you're doing. And I know you don't have to do it. And church people don't like offerings, but this is a good cause. This is a church climbing over walls and reaching into the world. Stand with me and let's pray. Father, I thank you that you would take this seed like 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread and feed the 5,000. Your people are hungry for homes. They're hungry for jobs. They're hungry for second chances. They're hungry to start over again. And even though things might not always be 100% for us, we're not in jail. We were able to come here. We may have sacrificed, but we're in better shape than a lot of the people that will benefit from this. Thank you for the foundation. Thank you for the grace. Thank you for the people that may be watching online or in the back, that you just touch their heart. Some are giving in the name of a nephew that's in jail, or a son that went to prison, or a grandchild that's incarcerated, or somebody who died in jail. or somebody who's been forgotten. I thank you for each one of them, and I pray that as they give to help somebody else's child, brother, sister, mother, uncle, cousin, that it will boomerang and cause a release. Come on again. Give it up for the fine, powerful session that the foundation had with Dr. Rowe and with John Hope Bryan, who keeps leaping off my stage, and I told him we don't have no insurance, we believe in divine healing. So if you break your leg, I'm gonna throw oil on you, okay? And pray for you and turn you over to God. Thank you for coming, get you some rest. We'll be back tonight, we've got more to come. God bless you.
Amen. Thank you, sir. I need to go upstairs to take my package.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Attention, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? At this moment, we're asking that all standing conversation be moved into the expo and into the foyer as we're now preparing for our evening services. Again, we're asking that all standing conversation please be moved to the expo or the foyer as we're now preparing for our evening services. Also, please remember to take all of your belongings. Anything that is left will be removed and added to lost and found. Again, we're asking that all belongings be removed now, or we will remove them and add them into the lost and found. Attention, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Attention, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? We're asking that all standing conversation please be moved into the expo or the foyer as we're now preparing for our evening services. Again, all standing conversation be moved to the expo or the foyer as we're now preparing for our evening services. Also, please remember to remove all of your belongings and items and take them with you, or they will be removed and added to the lost and found. Again, remove all of your belongings and items with you, or they will be removed and added to the lost and found. Thank you so much again for joining us for ILS 2020. This will start at 6 p.m. We'll see you soon.
Peach cobbler.
Oh, they have a lot.
Yeah, more than last night, but it was good. You know, for